The sun breaks over Fort Liberty like a promise someone forgot to keep. 5:30 in the morning, the air still holds the coolness of night. That brief window before North Carolina heat turns everything into a furnace. Colonel William Brennan stands alone on Range 12, the oldest rifle range on post, setting up targets at distances most men his age can barely see without binoculars. 800 meters, 1,600, 2,400, 3,200, 4,000. His hands shake as he hammers the stakes into hard Carolina clay. Not from exertion, not from age, though at 58 he's earned every line on his face and every gray hair on his head. The tremor comes from something else. Something the doctors at Womack Army Medical Center have a name for but no cure. Parkinson's disease, early stage, progressive, irreversible. The hammer slips from his grip on the third strike. He watches it fall, makes no move to catch it, just stands there breathing hard like he's run a mile instead of walking 50 yards. His right hand quivers in the morning light, the same hand that held steady through 40 years and 3 wars. The same hand that taught 2,000 soldiers how to kill from distances where you can't see the whites of their eyes. Now it can't hold a hammer without shaking. He picks up the tool with his left hand, finishes the job. The targets stand like sentries in the dawn, black silhouettes against red dirt. From where Brennan stands, they're barely visible, just dark smudges on the horizon. But he knows they're there. He knows the wind speed without checking his meter, knows the temperature will hit 94 by noon, knows the mirage will start dancing at 600 meters, making everything beyond that a shimmering lie. Knows all of it because he's been doing this since before most of the soldiers on this base were born. Behind him, footsteps crunch on gravel. He doesn't turn, doesn't need to. He can tell who approaches by their gait. This one walks with purpose, but no urgency. Confident, entitled, West Point stride. Major David Chen stops 10 feet away, manila folder under one arm, tablet computer in the other hand. 39 years old, sharp uniform, sharper ambitions. The kind of officer who sees tradition as an obstacle and innovation as salvation. Brennan finishes with the last target before turning around. "Good morning, Colonel." The words come out respectful enough, but Brennan hears what lies beneath. Impatience. The subtle condescension of youth toward age. The certainty of someone who believes the future belongs to him, and the past belongs in a museum. "Major, you're up early." Chen glances at the targets, then at his tablet, then back at Brennan with that look. The one Brennan has seen more and more lately. The look that says, "Old man, your time is done." "I wanted to discuss the range renovations, sir. We're scheduled to begin installation next month. AI-assisted targeting systems, environmental sensors, the works. This range will be the most technologically advanced training facility in the Army." Brennan lets the silence stretch, lets it grow uncomfortable. It's an old NCO trick, one he learned from his own drill sergeant 40 years ago. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. Chen shifts his weight. The tablet screen glows blue in the dawn light. "Sir, with all due respect, these facilities were built in 1952. The methods taught here are outdated. Drones can provide overwatch. AI can calculate wind drift faster than any human. Precision-guided munitions can eliminate targets at ranges we couldn't dream of when you started your career." There it is. When you started your career. Not when we started, when you. The dividing line drawn clear as a firing range boundary. Brennan walks toward Chen slowly, deliberately. His legs work fine. It's just his hands that betray him. He stops close enough that the younger man has to look up slightly. "You think machines make better soldiers, Major?" "I think they make more efficient soldiers, sir. Faster target acquisition, higher accuracy rates, lower casualty counts. The data supports it." The data. Brennan turns away, looks out at his target standing patient in the growing light. Somewhere beyond the tree line, a bird calls. The wind picks up, just a breath, southwest at maybe 8 miles per hour. It'll build as the day heats up. "You ever take a life, Major?" Chen hesitates. "Sir?" "It's a simple question. Have you ever looked through a scope, put your finger on a trigger, and ended someone's existence? Watched them drop? Seen the way a body falls when the strings get cut?" I've coordinated drone strikes, sir. Supervised precision operations." "From a computer screen?" "From a tactical operations center, yes, sir." "So that's a no." The words hang between them like gun smoke. Chen's jaw tightens. His knuckles go white on the tablet. "Colonel, my combat experience isn't the issue here. The issue is modernization. The Army is moving forward. With respect, you can either move with it or what? Chen doesn't finish the sentence. Doesn't have to. The implication floats there, unspoken but understood. Move forward or get left behind. Evolve or become extinct. Retire or be retired. Brennan feels something cold settle in his chest. Not anger. Anger would be easier. This is something worse. The slow, creeping certainty that the world has moved on without asking his permission. That everything he built, everything he taught, everything he believed about what makes a warrior worth remembering might just be relics of a bygone era. His right hand trembles at his side. You want this range, Major? Sir? You think your machines are better than 40 years of tested methods? Your algorithms smarter than experience? Your computer steadier than hands that have held the line since the Gulf? Chen straightens, sensing opportunity. I think the future of warfare requires us to embrace technological advantage, yes, sir. Then let's test that theory. The younger man blinks. Sir? Brennan points at the 4,000-meter target, barely visible in the distance. A challenge. Old school versus new school. Your best tech-trained operator against my best student of traditional methods. We each get 3 attempts. Whoever hits closest wins. Winner's approach becomes Fort Liberty standard for sniper training going forward. He can see Chen calculating, running probabilities. The Major has access to every piece of modern equipment the defense budget can buy. AI scopes that compensate for wind, temperature, humidity, even the rotation of the Earth. Ballistic computers that can solve equations in microseconds that would take a human minutes to work through manually. Chen smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. And if I win, Colonel, then I retire. No protest, no appeal. I'll clear out my office and fade away quiet. And if you win, you scrap the AI program. Keep this range exactly as it is. Let tradition stand. Chen extends his hand. The tablet shifts to his other arm. Deal. But Colonel, when we win, I want you to understand it's not personal, it's just progress. They shake. Brennan's hand trembles through the entire exchange. He feels Chen notice, feels the younger man's certainty grow. 2 weeks, Major, that's all I need to prepare my shooter. 2 weeks is fine, sir. My operator is ready now. Chen walks away, already pulling out his phone, already making calls. Probably to the base commander, definitely to public affairs. This will make good press. Old guard versus new guard. Tradition versus innovation. The kind of story people love because it has a clear winner and a clear loser. Brennan watches him go. When he's alone again, he looks down at his shaking hands, tries to will them steady. They don't obey, haven't obeyed in 6 months, won't ever obey again. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a worn leather notebook. The pages fall open to a name written in fading ink. Elena Martinez. The sun climbs higher. The day grows hot. Brennan stands alone on a range he built with his own hands, looking at targets he can barely hit anymore, holding a notebook with the name of a woman who hasn't touched a rifle in 6 years. And for the first time in 4 decades of service, Colonel William Brennan wonders if he's made a terrible mistake. 6 miles away, Captain Elena Martinez sits at a government-issue desk in a government-issue office, staring at a computer screen filled with numbers that don't matter. Medical Logistics Division, Building 472, 3rd floor, window facing the parking lot. This is her life now. She processes supply requests. She tracks inventory. She ensures that every gauze pad, every suture kit, every bottle of morphine gets where it needs to go when it needs to be there. Important work. Necessary work. The kind of work that saves lives in invisible ways. Also the kind of work that makes her want to scream. The clock on the wall reads 06:15. She's been here since 5:30, same as every morning for the past 6 years. Arrives before anyone else, leaves after everyone's gone, keeps her head down, does her job, stays invisible. Her desk holds exactly 3 personal items: a coffee mug with the Army Medical Corps insignia, a small succulent plant that refuses to die despite her neglect, and a photograph in a simple black frame. The photo shows a man in desert camouflage, sand-colored scarf wrapped around his neck, M24 rifle cradled in his arms. He's young in the picture, maybe 25, with Elena's same dark eyes and sharp cheekbones. Her father, Sergeant First Class Miguel Martinez, sniper, 3rd Infantry Division, Operation Desert Storm, 1990-91. Dead of a heart attack when Elena was 16. Gone before he could see her enlist. Before she made it through Ranger School. Before she became one of the few female soldiers to earn a sniper tab. Before Afghanistan. before the choice that ended her career and saved her best friend's life and cost 3 other soldiers theirs. Before everything turned to ash, she looks away from the photo, back to the screen. The numbers blur together: requisition forms, inventory reports, budget projections. The bureaucratic machinery of keeping an army healthy grinds on whether she pays attention or not. Her phone buzzes. Text message. Sergeant First Class Marcus Wade. Another relic from a previous life. Her old spotter from Afghanistan, now an instructor at the rifle range. Oh, and the message reads, Doc, Ghost needs to see you. Range 12. ASAP. Important. Elena stares at the words. Ghost. Only one person on post goes by that name. Colonel William Brennan, the legend. The man who trained her father. The man who pulled her aside during advanced marksmanship training 8 years ago and told her she had a gift. The man she's been avoiding for 6 years. She types back, I'm working, can't. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. He specifically asked for you, said it's about your old man. Her finger hovers over the screen. Using her father is a low blow, and Wade knows it. But it works. It always works. She looks at her computer, at the endless spreadsheets, at the life she's built from safety and routine and careful distance from anything that matters. Then she looks at the photo of her father. She closes the laptop. The walk across Fort Liberty takes 20 minutes. Elena knows every path, every shortcut, every quiet route that lets her avoid the main thoroughfares where soldiers train and run and laugh and do all the things she used to do. The morning sun already beats down hard. Her uniform sticks to her back. She passes the old division headquarters, the new cyber operations building, the football field where weekend warriors play tackle like they're still in high school. None of it touches her. She walks through it all like a ghost herself. Range 12 sits on the eastern edge of Post, accessible only by a gravel road that hasn't been repaved since the 90s. The rifle range is old school. No climate-controlled firing bays, no electronic target systems. Just dirt and steel and the smell of gun oil and copper and sweat. She sees Colonel Brennan before he sees her. He's at the far end of the range, setting up equipment with careful deliberation. Even from 100 yards, she notices the tremor in his hands, the way he favors his left side, the slight stoop in shoulders that used to be parade ground straight. He's aged. They've all aged, but some wear it harder than others. Sergeant Wade meets her halfway. Big man, 52 years old, built like a bulldozer. He was her spotter in Kandahar province when things went sideways. Saved her life twice. She saved his once. The math never evens out in war. He good? Wade shakes his head. No, but he won't admit it. What's this about? He needs you to shoot. Elena stops walking. I don't shoot anymore, Marcus. He knows that. Asked for you anyway. Why? Wade looks at her with those knowing eyes, the ones that saw too much and remember everything. Because you're Miguel Martinez's daughter. Because Ghost trained your old man and watched him become one of the best. Because he thinks you've got the same gift. I had it. Past tense. He thinks you still do. Elena looks past Wade to where Brennan works, his hands shaking worse now, dropping tools, picking them up, trying again. Pride and stubbornness in every movement. What's wrong with his hands? Wade's expression goes dark. Parkinson's. Early stage but getting worse. Docs say maybe 2 years before he can't hold a rifle steady at all. Jesus. Yeah. So when he asks for you, Doc, it ain't casual. Man's running out of time to prove something. And I think maybe you are too. The words hit harder than intended. Elena feels them land somewhere deep, in that place she keeps locked down tight where all the might-have-beens and should-have-dones and what-ifs live in permanent darkness. She starts walking again. Wade falls in beside her. Brennan sees her coming, straightens up as much as his spine allows, wipes his hands on his pants even though they're clean. Old habits, looking presentable for company. Captain Martinez. His voice carries that same gravel she remembers. Command voice. The kind that makes privates snap to attention and sergeants stand a little straighter. 40 years of leading men will do that. 40 years of making life and death decisions from behind a rifle scope. Colonel Brennan. They stand 3 feet apart. The gap feels like a canyon. It's good to see you. Sir, your father was the best natural shooter I ever trained. Right up until I trained you. Elena doesn't respond, doesn't know how to respond. Compliments feel like traps, like hands reaching out of the past trying to pull her back to a version of herself that died in Afghanistan. Brennan gestures at the range. at the targets set up at impossible distances. "I've got a situation. Need your help." He explains it all. The challenge with Major Chen, the stakes, the 2-week timeline, the future of traditional sniper training hanging in the balance. He lays it out clear and simple, the way good commanders do when they need something from their soldiers. When he finishes, Elena stands quiet for a long moment. Wind picks up, carrying dust across the range. Somewhere in the distance, a drill sergeant calls cadence. "Sir, there are active snipers on this post. Qualified instructors, people who shoot every day. I work in logistics now. I haven't fired a rifle in 6 years." "I know." "Then why ask me?" Brennan's hands shake at his sides. He doesn't try to hide it anymore, because everyone else shoots to qualify, to maintain skills, to check boxes. You shot because you understood what it meant, the weight of it, the responsibility. That was before. Before what? Before I made a choice that got 3 soldiers killed. The words come out harder than intended, sharper. They cut the air between them and leave silence bleeding in their wake. Brennan's expression doesn't change, doesn't soften with pity or harden with judgment, just holds steady, the way a good spotter holds on target. "Sarah Chen told me about Afghanistan." Elena's breath catches. Sarah, her best friend, her spotter, the woman she chose to save instead of taking the shot that might have suppressed enemy fire, might have given 3 pinned-down soldiers a chance, might have changed everything. "Sarah talks too much. She came to see me last year, wanted to know if I thought you made the wrong call." Elena's hands ball into fists. "And what did you tell her?" "That you made the only call you could with the information you had. That choosing to save a life right in front of you instead of gambling on saving lives, you couldn't guarantee is what separates soldiers from murderers." The words wash over her like cold water. She wants to believe them. God, she wants to believe them. But 6 years of guilt and second-guessing, and the faces of those 3 dead soldiers in her dreams every night, make belief impossible. "I froze, sir. When it mattered most, I chose wrong." Brennan shakes his head slowly. "You chose. That's different than freezing. Freezing is paralysis. You made a decision under impossible circumstances and lived with the consequences. That takes more courage than most people will ever know." The squad leader didn't see it that way. The squad leader wasn't there. You were. Only you know what was possible in that moment. Elena feels something crack in her chest. Some wall she's been maintaining for 6 years. Not broken, just fractured, enough to let a sliver of light through. "Why does this challenge matter so much to you, Colonel?" Brennan looks out at his range. His legacy, 40 years of blood and sweat and teaching young men and women how to kill with honor, how to carry the burden, how to be warriors instead of just weapons. Because in 6 months I retire. Because Chen's right that the army is moving forward. Because if I leave and this range gets gutted and replaced with computer screens and AI algorithms, what did my career mean? What was it all for? His voice cracks on the last word, just slightly, just enough. Elena sees him then, really sees him. Not the legendary instructor, not the hard-ass colonel, just a man facing the end of his purpose and terrified that everything he built will be forgotten. Just like she's terrified that the only thing she'll be remembered for is the choice she made in Afghanistan. "I don't know if I can do this," she says quietly. "I know you can. Your father knew it too. He told me once, right before he shipped back from the Gulf, that his daughter had his eyes. Said you could see things other people missed. Said you'd be better than him someday." Did he really say that? Every word. He was proud of you before you even knew who you were. Something breaks then, fully. The wall comes down and Elena feels 6 years of holding everything together start to unravel. She doesn't cry. She's forgotten how. But her throat closes and her eyes burn and she has to look away. When she looks back, Brennan is watching her with something like understanding. "I have one condition, sir. Name it. If I do this, we do it your way. Old school, no electronics for 2 weeks, no ballistic calculators, no rangefinders, just wind and math and instinct." Brennan smiles. First real smile she's seen from him. Why? "Because if I'm going to prove traditional methods work, I want to prove it all the way. No shortcuts, no excuses. Your father would approve." She almost says yes, almost commits, but something holds her back. Some last vestige of self-preservation. "I need to think about it." Fair enough. "But Doc, think fast. We've got 2 weeks and a whole lot of work to do." Elena nods, starts to walk away, gets 10 steps before Brennan's voice stops her. "Captain," she turns. "That boy you killed in Mosul, the 16-year-old with his sister. You know that wasn't your fault, right? She goes cold. How do you know about that? Sarah told me everything. She wanted me to understand what you've been carrying. It was my shot, my call. Based on intelligence that was wrong. Based on orders from command. You pulled the trigger, but you didn't load the gun. Someone else did that. Someone who never faced consequences while you carry their sin. Elena can't speak. Can't move. The memory plays behind her eyes in perfect detail. The dusty street in Mosul. The teenage boy walking toward a checkpoint. Intelligence screaming that he's a suicide bomber. The order to take the shot. Her finger on the trigger. The crack of the rifle. The boy falling. His little sister screaming. The bomb squad finding nothing. Just a kid trying to get his sister to safety. Just a dead child and an intelligence failure and a sniper who would never be the same. I see his face every night. She whispers, I know. I see mine too. 23 confirmed kills over 40 years, all justified, all necessary. And every single one still visits me in the dark. How do you live with it? By teaching people like you to make better choices than I did. To carry the burden with honor. To remember that we're warriors, not murderers. There's a difference. Is there? Has to be, otherwise what are we? The question hangs in the air between them. Elena doesn't have an answer, isn't sure one exists. She walks away before Brennan can say anything else. Wade watches her go, says nothing, just nods once, understanding passing between old friends who've seen too much. The walk back to her office takes forever and no time at all. Elena sits at her desk, opens her laptop, stares at spreadsheets that blur into meaninglessness. Her phone sits next to her keyboard. She picks it up, opens her contacts, scrolls to a name she hasn't called in 2 years. Sarah Chen answers on the second ring. Elena, oh my God, Elena, is that really you? Yeah, it's me. Are you okay? Did something happen? Sarah's voice brings it all back. The friendship forged in Ranger School. The bond cemented in Afghanistan. The moment when Elena chose to save her instead of taking the impossible shot. The blood, the screaming, the medevac helicopter, the 3 body bags. Colonel Brennan asked me to shoot for him. Silence on the other end. Then, and I don't know if I can. What if I freeze again? You didn't freeze, Elena, you made a choice. The wrong choice. Says who? The brass who sent us into that situation understaffed and undersupported. The intelligence that was 90% wrong? The squad leader who wanted someone to blame? Says the 3 dead soldiers. Sarah's voice goes hard. Those soldiers died from injuries they sustained in the first 30 seconds of the ambush. I looked at the medical reports. Shrapnel wounds, arterial bleeds. They were dead before you ever had a chance to help. Elena's world tilts. What? I pulled their records last year. Needed to know for my own peace of mind. They died from the IED, Elena, not from your choice. You couldn't have saved them even if you'd taken that shot. The shot was impossible. 1,200 meters in gusting wind against fortified positions. You would have missed, and I would have died, and nothing would have changed except we'd both be ghosts. 6 years. 6 years of carrying guilt for deaths that weren't her fault. 6 years of self-imposed exile. 6 years of running from who she was because she thought she'd failed. Why didn't you tell me? Because you needed to forgive yourself first. Needed to understand that sometimes the choice isn't between right and wrong. Sometimes it's between bad and worse. You chose to save a life you could guarantee over lives you couldn't. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Elena closes her eyes, lets the truth settle. It doesn't erase the nightmares, doesn't bring back the dead, but it shifts something. Some fundamental understanding of who she is and what she's capable of. He wants me to make a 4,000-meter shot. Sarah laughs. Actually laughs. Of course he does. You made a 4,200-meter shot in Afghanistan in 2017. I was there. I spotted for you. That was different. How? That was before I doubted myself. Then maybe it's time to stop doubting. Maybe it's time to remember that you're Miguel Martinez's daughter, and you were born to do this. Elena opens her eyes, looks at her father's photo on the desk, young and strong and certain. Everything she used to be. I'm scared, Sarah. Good. Fear keeps you honest. Just don't let it keep you paralyzed. They talk for another 10 minutes, catching up, remembering, healing in small ways that add up to something larger. When Elena hangs up, she sits in silence for a long time. Then she opens her desk drawer, pulls out her personal phone, texts Colonel Brennan a single word. Yes. His response comes 30 seconds later. Range 12. Oh, 500 tomorrow. Bring your father's notebook. Elena stares at the message. Her father's notebook. The one he kept during Desert Storm with all his wind calculations and range estimations and philosophical observations about the nature of violence. The one she hasn't opened since his funeral. The one she keeps in a locked box under her bed because touching it hurts too much. She texts back, "I'll be there." Then she sits at her government desk in her government office, looking at a photo of her father and thinking about choices. About freezing versus deciding. About the difference between warriors and murderers. About whether she has the courage to find out if she's still the woman she used to be. Outside her window, Fort Liberty goes about its business. Soldiers train. Officers plan. The machinery of military life grinds forward regardless of personal crisis or existential doubt. And on Range 12, an old colonel with shaking hands looks at targets 4,000 meters away and allows himself something he hasn't felt in 6 months: hope. The sun climbs higher. The heat builds. Somewhere in the distance, rifle fire cracks across training ranges. The sound of young soldiers learning to kill. Tomorrow, an old warrior and a broken sniper will begin the work of proving that some things should never be forgotten. That honor matters. That tradition matters. That the difference between a good shot and a great one isn't in the technology or the equipment or the algorithms. It's in understanding that every bullet has a name. And knowing when to fire is only half the battle. Knowing when not to is what makes you human. 5 o'clock in the morning comes early when you haven't slept. Elena stands in her apartment bathroom, staring at a reflection she barely recognizes. 36 years old, but her eyes look 50. Combat will do that. Guilt will finish the job. She splashes cold water on her face. The shock helps. Not much, but enough. From under her bed, she pulls a lockbox. The combination hasn't changed in 6 years. Her father's birthday. She works the dial with fingers that remember even when her mind wants to forget. Inside, wrapped in an old t-shirt from her ranger school days, sits a leather notebook. Brown, worn, the cover soft from years of handling. Her father carried this through Desert Storm, wrote in it every day. Calculations, observations, philosophy disguised as ballistics tables. She opens it carefully. The pages smell like old paper and gun oil and something else. Memory, maybe. The past made tangible. The first entry is dated January 1991. Forward Operating Base Viper. Her father's handwriting, young and confident. Wind in the desert reads different than wind anywhere else. No trees to show movement, just heat and sand and the way air shimmers. Learn to see the invisible. She turns pages, finds more. A shot not taken is still a choice. Choose wisely. And later, after something changed him. Killed a man today at 900 meters. Clean shot, textbook execution. He never knew what hit him. I'll carry him forever anyway. This is the trade we make. Elena closes the notebook, holds it against her chest, feels the weight of it. Not the physical weight, the other kind. The kind that pulls you down or holds you up depending on how you carry it. Her phone buzzes. Brennan, Range 12, you coming? She types back, on my way. Then she opens her closet, pushes past the uniform blouses and skirts and all the clothes of a logistics officer, reaches into the back corner, pulls out a rifle case she hasn't touched in 6 years. Inside, broken down and carefully maintained despite disuse, her father's M24, the rifle he carried in Iraq and Kuwait, the rifle he taught her to shoot when she was 12, the rifle she's cleaned every month for 6 years even though she swore she'd never fire it again. Muscle memory doesn't forget. She assembles it in 4 minutes. Stock, receiver, barrel, bolt. The pieces fit together like they never came apart, like coming home after a long exile. The rifle feels right in her hands. That's what scares her. The drive to Range 12 takes 15 minutes. The sun hasn't cleared the horizon yet. The world exists in that gray space between night and day, between ending and beginning, between who you were and who you might become. She parks next to Brennan's truck. An old Ford F-150, 20 years if it's a day, held together by pride and stubbornness, like its owner. He's already at the firing line, setting up. His hands shake worse in the morning cold. She watches him drop a box of ammunition, watches him bend to pick it up, watches him try 3 times before his fingers cooperate. She walks over without announcing herself, kneels, picks up the scattered rounds. Brennan looks at her, doesn't say thank you, doesn't need to. You brought it. He's looking at the M24 case slung over her shoulder, Figured if we're doing this old school, might as well use the rifle my father trusted. Your father would approve. She sets the case down gently, unzips it. The M24 gleams in the early light, composite stock showing wear from years of use, metal parts maintained to perfection. Brennan reaches out, stops himself. May I? Elena nods. He lifts the rifle with both hands. The tremor makes it waver, but he holds on, brings it to his shoulder, sights down the barrel at nothing. His eyes go somewhere else, somewhere 30 years ago. I remember when Miguel got this, 1990, right before they pushed into Kuwait. He called it his insurance policy, said if he took care of it, it would take care of him. He taught me to shoot with this when I was 12. I know, he wrote me about it. Said you outshot every boy in your school's JROTC program. They underestimated me. Brennan lowers the rifle, looks at her with those pale blue eyes that have seen too much and forgotten nothing. People still do. That's your advantage. He hands the rifle back. Elena takes it, feels its weight, its balance, its history. Ready to start? She looks at the targets set up at impossible distances, the farthest one barely visible even with the sun starting to rise. 4,000 meters, 2.5 miles. The kind of shot that shouldn't be possible. That is possible if you understand physics and accept that some things can't be rushed. What's first? Brennan smiles. It's not a kind smile. It's the smile of a drill sergeant who knows he's about to make your life difficult for your own good. First rule: no electronics for 2 weeks, no rangefinders, no ballistic calculators, no weather apps. Nothing digital touches this training. Elena absorbs this, nods. Second rule: we don't shoot at the 4,000-meter target until week 2. First week is fundamentals: reading wind, estimating distance, understanding the rifle as an extension of your body, not a tool you pick up. Makes sense. Third rule. Brennan's voice goes soft. More dangerous that way. You tell me the truth. About Afghanistan. About why you stopped shooting. About everything. No lies, no deflection. I can't train you if you're hiding. The words land like body blows. Elena feels her walls go up. Automatic defense. Protect yourself. Don't let anyone see the damage. But she agreed to this. Made the choice. Time to live with it. Okay. They stand in silence for a moment. 2 warriors, one old, one broken, both trying to prove something to themselves more than anyone else. Brennan claps his hands together, the sound sharp in the dawn quiet. Right. Show me how you read wind. He points at the grass downrange, at the flag set up at intervals, at the trees beyond the berms. No instruments, just observation. Elena studies it all. The grass bends southwest. The flags hang limp near the ground but flutter at height. The trees show no movement yet, but they will when the sun warms the air and convection starts. 12 miles per hour, she says. Southwest, gusting to 15 by 0800 when thermal activity picks up. Brennan checks his handheld anemometer. 11.8 miles per hour. Southwest, close enough. How did you know about the gusting? Because that's what happens every morning here. Land heats up, air rises, creates turbulence. Brennan nods. Good. Now tell me why it matters. Elena thinks about this. The real answer, not the technical one. Because wind is chaos we pretend to predict. We can measure it, but we can't control it. So we adapt. We wait for the right moment. We accept that some shots aren't meant to be taken. Now you're thinking like your father. They spend the next hour on wind reading, not shooting, just watching, learning to see what's invisible. The dance of air currents, the signature of thermal layers, the way a bullet doesn't fly through empty space, but through a living, breathing, constantly changing medium that will push it and pull it and try its best to make you miss. Brennan talks the whole time, not lecturing, teaching. There's a difference. Miguel told me once that wind in the desert was like fighting an enemy you can't see. You have to respect it, learn its patterns, understand that it's always there even when you can't feel it. Did he really say that, or are you making it up to motivate me? Brennan grins. Does it matter? Guess not. The sun clears the horizon. Golden light spills across the range. The temperature starts climbing. The wind picks up right on schedule, gusting now, variable, difficult. Perfect conditions for learning. They move to distance estimation. Brennan points at objects. A tree, a berm, a target stand. Elena has to estimate range without instruments. Just her eyes, her judgment, her understanding of how the human brain interprets space. She gets most of them wrong at first. Off by 50 meters, 100, once by 200. Brennan doesn't criticize, just corrects, explains, shows her tricks. Use the size of known objects. Compare angles. Understand how heat distortion compresses distance at long ranges. By hour 3, she's within 20 meters on every estimate. By hour 4, within 10. Better, Brennan says, but not good enough. At 4,000 meters, a 10-meter error in range estimation equals a miss. We need you perfect. Nobody's perfect. Then we need you close enough that imperfect looks perfect. They break for water. Sit in the shade of Brennan's truck, the heat already brutal despite the early hour. Elena drinks from a canteen, warm water that tastes like metal and effort. Tell me about the shot, Brennan says. Which one? Afghanistan. The 4,200-meter shot. The one Sarah told me about. Elena closes her eyes. The memory comes sharp and clear. Too clear. That's the problem with the things we want to forget. They remember us better than we remember ourselves. Kandahar Province, August 2017. We were providing overwatch for a convoy moving through a valley. Intel said the route was clear. Intel was wrong. Ambush? 3 positions. High ground, coordinated fire, professional work. The convoy got pinned in a kill zone. No cover, no support, just open ground and enemy shooters who knew exactly what they were doing. How far were you? 4,200 meters, maybe 43, hard to tell exactly. We were on a ridgeline. They were in the valley. The angle complicated things. What did you do? What I was trained to do. Identified the most dangerous threat. The heavy machine gun position that had the best angle on the convoy. Calculated the shot. Wind was brutal, gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. Heat mirage made everything shimmer like a bad dream. Brennan leans forward. And I took the shot. The words come out flat, empty of emotion. That's the only way to say them. 4.1 seconds of flight time. I watched through the scope, saw the bullet arc, saw it drift right, compensated, left in my mind for the next shot. Then impact. Direct hit. Center mass. The shooter went down. His gun went quiet. I engaged the other 2 positions. 3 more shots. 3 more hits. By the time I was done, the convoy could move. They got out. Everyone lived. Brennan studies her face. So why do you look like you're describing a failure? Because 6 months later, I was in a different situation. Same job, different stakes, and I chose differently. Afghanistan again? Elena shakes her head. Iraq, Mosul, 2018, we were doing clearance operations. Urban environment, lots of civilians, lots of bad intelligence. She stops, drinks more water, buys time. Brennan waits, patient. He's good at waiting. I got told there was a suicide bomber approaching a checkpoint, teenage male, carrying his sister as a shield. Orders were clear. Take the shot before he reaches the checkpoint. Did you? Her hands tighten on the canteen. Yes. And he wasn't carrying a bomb. He was carrying his sister to safety. Just a kid trying to protect family. Intelligence was wrong. I killed a 16-year-old boy for doing the right thing. Brennan's expression doesn't change. His voice stays level, controlled. Range? What? What was the range? 1,400 meters. Wind? Variable. Urban environment. Buildings create turbulence. Time to decide? 30 seconds from identification to engagement. Who gave the order? Command. But I pulled the trigger. Based on intelligence, you had no reason to doubt. Elena's voice rises. That's the problem. I should have doubted. Should have waited. Should have verified. How? You're 1,400 meters away. You've got 30 seconds. Command is screaming in your ear. The safety of the checkpoint is your responsibility. What verification was possible? I could have waited. And if he was a bomber, if you waited and he killed 20 people at that checkpoint, then at least I wouldn't have killed a child. The words hang between them, raw, painful, true. Brennan stands up. His knees crack, age and old injuries. He walks to the back of his truck, opens a storage box, pulls out a folder, hands it to Elena. What's this? Open it! She does. Inside, incident reports, medical examiner findings, witness statements, all from Mosul, all from that day. She reads, feels her world tilt. The boy had been flagged by 3 separate intelligence sources. He matched the profile. His route matched the pattern. Everything pointed to threat. More than that. The checkpoint had been hit 2 days earlier by a teenage bomber. Same method. Child as shield. Command was operating on recent precedent. The intelligence wasn't perfect, but it wasn't wrong either. It was incomplete, like all intelligence in war. Where did you get this? Called in some favors. wanted you to see what you were working with, wanted you to understand that you didn't fail. The system failed, you just carried the weight of it. Elena closes the folder, hands shaking now. Doesn't change what I did. No. Doesn't change that a child died, doesn't make it hurt less. But it changes whether you're a murderer or a soldier who made the best choice available in an impossible situation. What's the difference? Intent, remorse, the willingness to carry the burden instead of making excuses. Elena looks at him, really looks, sees the weight he carries too. 40 years of it, 23 confirmed kills, all the impossible choices, all the nights wondering if there was another way. You still see them, don't you? The people you killed? Everyone. Their faces, the way they fell, the questions about who they were, what they believed, whether they had families. How do you live with it? Brennan sits back down, slower this time. The heat getting to him or the memories or both? I teach. I try to make sure the next generation makes cleaner choices than I did, carries lighter burdens, understands the cost before they pay it. Does it work? Sometimes, not always, but it's what I have. They sit in silence. The sun climbs higher. The heat builds. Somewhere downrange, a mirage starts dancing. The air itself lying about what's real. I'm scared, Elena says quietly. Of what? Of being good at this again. Of remembering what it feels like to be behind a rifle and know I can hit anything I aim at. Of wanting that feeling back. Why does that scare you? Because if I'm good at killing, what does that make me? Brennan turns to face her full on. His eyes hold hers. Doesn't let her look away. It makes you a guardian, a warrior, someone who can do violence in service of something larger than yourself. There's honor in that. Burden, yes. Cost, absolutely. But honor, too. I don't feel honorable. Good. The ones who feel honorable are the ones who scare me. They've forgotten the weight. You still feel it. That means you're still human. The word settles something in Elena, not fixing anything, not erasing the guilt, just acknowledging that maybe, possibly, she doesn't have to carry all of it alone. They work through lunch. Brennan produces MREs from his truck. Meals ready to eat. The same processed food that sustains soldiers for generations. Tastes like cardboard and chemicals and shared misery. They eat without complaint. The afternoon focuses on breathing. Not shooting, not even dry firing, just breathing. Brennan makes her lie prone, puts a small paper cup of water on the small of her back, makes her breathe without spilling it. 4 count in, 4 count hold, 4 count out, 4 count hold, repeat. The cup doesn't move. Your father taught you this. When I was 14, said breathing is the foundation of everything. If you can't control your breath, you can't control the shot. Smart man, he was. After an hour of breathing exercises, Brennan has her dry fire at a target 200 meters away. No ammunition, just the mechanics, the trigger squeeze, the follow-through, the way your body settles into the shot. She does it 100 times, then 100 more. Muscle memory doesn't forget, but it gets rusty, needs oil, needs work. By 4 o'clock, she's exhausted. Not from physical effort, from mental focus. From holding her mind on the task without letting it wander to dark places. Brennan notices, calls it. That's enough for day 1. We didn't shoot a single round. No, we did something harder. We remembered what shooting actually is. Elena stands, stretches. Her back protests. Her shoulders ache. Good pain, the kind that comes from work instead of worry. Same time tomorrow? Brennan nods. Bring the notebook. We're going to study your father's calculations, see if we can build on them. He was pretty thorough. He was. But he was working with early 90s technology. We've learned things since then. Physics hasn't changed, but our understanding has. Elena packs her rifle, carefully, with reverence, the same way her father taught her. As she's loading it into her car, Brennan calls out, "Dokumentacja?" She turns. You did good today. Better than good. You remembered who you are. I remembered who I was. Same thing, just different tense. She drives back to her apartment as the sun starts setting. The day's heat lingers, but the worst of it has passed. She passes soldiers heading to the dining facility. Young faces, tired but content. The good tired of honest work. She remembers being that young, that certain. Before war taught her that certainty is a luxury, and survival often depends on making terrible choices quickly. Her apartment feels empty, too quiet. She turns on the TV for noise, some game show. Doesn't matter, just fills the silence. She pulls out her father's notebook, opens to a random page. The entry is dated February 1991. Forward Operating Base Cobra. Made a choice today. Had 2 targets. Officer and radio operator. Could only engage one before position compromised. Chose the radio. Cut their communications. Saved American lives. But the officer escaped. He'll coordinate more attacks tomorrow. Did I choose right? Will I ever know? Below that, indifferent ink added later. Yes, you chose right, because you chose the mission over the glory. That's what warriors do. Elena reads it 3 times. Lets the words sink in. Her phone rings. Sarah, how was day 1? Harder than I expected. We didn't even shoot. Good. Brennan's teaching you the right way, the hard way. I'm exhausted. Because you've been running from this for 6 years. Coming back is harder than leaving ever was. Elena sits on her couch, puts the phone on speaker, stares at the ceiling. What if I can't do it? What if I get to the shot and freeze? Then you freeze, and you learn from it. But Elena, you won't. How do you know? Because I was there. I've seen you under pressure. You don't freeze. You decide. Sometimes the decision is hard. Sometimes it's wrong. But you always decide. The 3 soldiers couldn't be saved. I've told you this. The medical evidence is clear. I should have tried. You did try. You tried to save the one person you knew you could save. That's not weakness. That's mathematics. 1 certain life versus 3 impossible ones. Sarah's voice softens. You made the right call. It just cost you everything to make it. That's not fair. But it is what happened. And Brennan's giving you a chance to prove you're still the shooter you always were. What if I don't want to be that person anymore? Then don't. Walk away. Live your logistics life. Process requisitions until retirement. No judgment. But Elena, I don't think that's what you want. What do I want? To forgive yourself. To prove that Afghanistan doesn't define you. To honor your father by being the warrior he knew you could be. The words hit home. Elena feels them land in that hollow space where purpose used to live. They talk for another 20 minutes. Small things. Sarah's work at Walter Reed, the patients she's helping, the progress in prosthetics, the slow, grinding work of putting broken soldiers back together. When they hang up, Elena sits in silence for a long time. Then she opens the notebook again, reads, studies, absorbs her father's wisdom written in fading ink across 30-year-old pages, wind tables, range calculations, observations about human nature and the cost of violence. One entry catches her eye. No date, just words. Teaching my daughter to shoot today. She's 12, natural talent, steady hands, good eyes. But more than that, she understands weight, responsibility, the quiet before the trigger pull. I see myself in her, but better, cleaner. She'll be the shooter I tried to be. God help her. Elena closes the notebook, holds it against her chest. Outside her window, Fort Liberty settles into evening routine. Lights coming on in barracks, soldiers heading to the gym or the PX or wherever young soldiers go to forget they might die in foreign countries for reasons they don't fully understand. She thinks about her father, about Brennan, about all the warriors who carried burdens so others wouldn't have to, about the cost of being good at violence in service of something larger, about whether she has the strength to be that person again. Tomorrow she'll return to Range 12. Tomorrow she'll work on fundamentals. Tomorrow she'll take one more step toward the 4,000-meter shot that will change everything. She's not sure what or who yet, but she knows this much. She's tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of letting Afghanistan and Mosul and all the ghosts define her. Time to remember who she was. Time to become who she's supposed to be. Time to make the old man proud. She sets her alarm for 0430, earlier than necessary. But she wants time at the range before Brennan arrives. Wants to feel the dawn. Wants to remember what it's like to watch the sun rise with a rifle in her hands and purpose in her heart. Sleep comes hard. The nightmares are waiting. They're always waiting. But tonight they feel different. Less like punishment. More like memory. Just things that happened. Choices made. Consequences faced. Not definition, not destiny. Just history. And history, her father used to say, is something we carry forward or something we bury. Your choice, which Elena chooses forward. One day at a time, one breath at a time, one shot at a time, the old way, the hard way, the only way that matters. 2 weeks pass like water through fingers. Dawn after dawn, Elena arrives at Range 12 before the sun, sets up, waits, works. Brennan is always there first. His truck already parked, his targets already placed, his hands shaking worse each day, but his mind sharp as ever. They don't talk much during training. Don't need to. The work speaks for itself. Day 3, she shoots at 800 meters, groups tight enough to cover with a quarter. Brennan nods approval but says nothing. Day 5, 1600 meters. Wind gusting, heat mirage dancing. She adjusts for conditions she can feel but not measure. 3 shots, 3 hits, 2 of them dead center. Brennan allows himself a smile. Day 7, 2400 meters. The distance where physics becomes philosophy. Where you're not aiming at where the target is but where it will be after 4 seconds of bullet flight, and 800 feet of drop and wind drift, and the rotation of the earth itself pushing your round off course. She misses the first shot by 3 feet, adjusts, breathes, shoots again. Dead center. Brennan writes something in his own notebook. Doesn't show her. Just nods and says, "Tomorrow we go further." Day 10, 3,200 meters. Nearly 2 miles. The kind of distance where the target is a dark smudge even through the scope. Where doubt lives in every breath. Where the difference between hit and miss is whether you trust the math or trust your fear. Elena trusts the math. First shot, missed by 18 inches. Second shot, 6 inches. Third shot, perfect. Brennan sets down his spotting scope, studies her with those pale blue eyes that have seen everything and forgotten nothing. You ready for 4,000? Elena looks downrange, at the target that exists more as a concept than a visible object, at the impossible distance, at the shot that will decide everything. Not yet. Brennan's eyebrows raise. No? I can hit it, but I need to understand why I'm hitting it. Need to feel the rifle. Need to know it's not luck. Smart. Your father said the same thing before his first extreme range shot. Luck fades. Skill is forever. They spend day 11 not shooting at all. Just sitting, watching, reading wind, studying mirage, learning the rhythm of the range, the way a sailor learns the rhythm of the sea. Brennan talks, not lecturing, just sharing. Stories from Vietnam, lessons learned, mistakes made, the cost of getting it wrong and the burden of getting it right. I killed my first man at 400 yards, he says quietly. 1968. Hill 937. Hamburger Hill, they called it later. He was NVA, maybe 20 years old, setting up a mortar position. Did you hesitate? No. That's what haunts me. Should have felt something. Doubt, fear, remorse. Felt nothing. Just did the job. Felt the remorse later. Still feel it. How many years later? 56 and counting. Elena absorbs this. The idea that some things never heal. Just scar over. Become part of who you are. Does it get easier? No, you just get better at carrying it. They sit in silence. The sun tracks across the sky. Shadows lengthen. The world turns beneath them, indifferent to human struggle. Day 12. Brennan brings someone new to the range. Elena arrives at 0500 to find 2 trucks parked instead of 1. The second is newer, cleaner, government issue. Major Chen stands beside it, tablet in hand, expression carefully neutral. Captain Martinez, I wanted to observe your training. Hope that's acceptable. It's Brennan's range. His call. Brennan emerges from behind his truck carrying ammunition boxes. His hands shake badly. He nearly drops one. Chen notices. Doesn't comment. Just watches. Major, didn't expect you this early. Wanted to see what old school training looks like, sir. Purely academic interest. The lie sits heavy in the morning air. Nothing about this is academic. This is reconnaissance. Sizing up the opposition. Looking for weakness. Elena feels something cold settle in her stomach. The first hint of what this challenge really means. Not just proving a point, proving worth. Legacy. The right to be remembered. You're welcome to observe, Brennan says. Long as you don't interfere. Wouldn't dream of it, sir. They set up as usual. Elena's routine now automatic. Check rifle, load magazine, settle into position. Breathe. Brennan spots, calls wind, gives correction. Chen stands 20 yards back, watching, recording. Calculating. Elena tries to ignore him. Fails. His presence changes everything. Adds pressure. Adds stakes. Adds the weight of eyes that want her to fail. First shot at 3,200 meters, miss by 4 feet. She's never missed that badly. Chen makes a note on his tablet. Brennan's voice cuts through her spiraling thoughts. Again, forget he's here. Just you and the target. Elena resets, breathes, shoots. Miss by 2 feet. Worse. Chen's stylus moves across the screen. Brennan calls a break, walks over to Elena, crouches beside her despite the protest of old knees. What's happening? I can feel him watching, judging. So I'm thinking about failing instead of shooting. Brennan's voice drops low, hard. The voice that turned boys into soldiers for 40 years. You know what your father told me once? He said the enemy can only kill you. Your own mind will torture you first. Don't give it ammunition. Elena looks at him, at the tremor in his hands, at the certainty in his eyes. He's gonna be there on challenge day 2. I know. How do I shut it out? You don't. You accept it. Let it exist. Then now shoot anyway. May. She tries again, misses by 1 foot. Again, 6 inches. Again, 3 inches. Again, dead center. Chen stops taking notes, just watches. Brennan allows himself a small smile. Better. That's the shooter I know. They work through lunch. MREs eaten in silence while Chen makes calls and sends emails and does whatever ambitious majors do when they're plotting the future. Elena watches him between bites of processed chicken and rice, wonders what he sees when he looks at her. An obstacle, a relic, a threat to his vision of progress? Probably all 3. Afternoon brings the first attempt at 4,000 meters. Brennan sets it up like a ceremony, checks the target 3 times, verifies distance with 2 different methods, studies conditions until he's satisfied. The wind is steady, 12 miles per hour southwest, temperature 92 degrees, humidity low, mirage moderate, conditions good as they'll get. Elena settles into position. The M14 feels right, familiar, like shaking hands with an old friend. She runs calculations. Wind drift, bullet drop, Coriolis effect, spin drift, every variable that physics demands you account for. 4,000 meters, 13,000 feet, 2.4 miles. The bullet will fly for 4.3 seconds. Will drop 819 feet. Will drift right from the Earth's rotation. Will fight wind and gravity and air resistance every inch of the way. And she has to send it to a target she can barely see. Brennan's voice in her ear, calm and steady. Wind holding at 12. Target verified. Range 4,000 even. Your shot when ready. Elena breathes. The 4-count rhythm. In, hold, out, hold. Her finger finds the trigger. Takes up slack. Feels the break point. In her mind, she sees her father. Young, strong. Making the same shot in some jungle fire base 50 years ago. Trusting math. Trusting training. Trusting himself. She fires. The recoil pushes back familiar and harsh. The round exits at 2,700 feet per second, spins at 200,000 rotations per minute, carries every hope and fear and purpose she's poured into 2 weeks of training. 4.3 seconds of silence. The world holds its breath. Then Brennan's voice from the spotting scope. Miss, left 8.2 meters. Elena's heart sinks. Chen makes a note, but Brennan is already talking, analytical, teaching even now. Good elevation. You had the vertical. Wind drift calculation was close, but you didn't account for the thermal layer at 1,600 meters. That's pushing your round more than ground-level wind suggests. How do I account for something I can't measure? Experience, feel, the same way your father did. Try again? Brennan checks his watch. Plenty of time. Send it. Elena adjusts, adds compensation for the thermal layer, trusts instinct over instruments, breathes, fires. 4.3 seconds. Miss. Right, 4.1 meters. Closer, much closer, but still a miss. Chen's expression doesn't change, but Elena sees what he's thinking, sees the doubt, the certainty that machines don't miss twice, that AI doesn't second guess, that progress means eliminating human error. She wants to prove him wrong so badly it burns. 3rd attempt, final adjustment. She closes her eyes, feels the wind, feels the rifle, feels her father's hands guiding hers the way they did when she was 12, opens her eyes, settles, fires. 4.3 seconds of faith. The sound comes faint but clear across 2.5 miles of Carolina morning. Ting! Metal on metal. Impact. Brennan's voice cracks with emotion. Hit. Inner ring. 6 inches from center. Elena lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Chen stops writing, just stares downrange. Brennan stands, walks over, offers his hand. Elena takes it, lets him pull her up. Your father would be proud. The words break something in her. Good. Clean. She feels tears threaten but holds them back. Chen approaches. Professional, measured, impressed despite himself. That was remarkable shooting, Captain. Truly. Thank you, sir. Of course, my shooter has been training with AI-assisted systems. Compensates for thermal layers automatically. Real-time wind measurement. Predictive algorithms. Then I guess we'll see which approach works better. Guess we will. He leaves shortly after. Truck disappearing down the gravel road in a cloud of dust. When he's gone, Brendan sits heavily on his tailgate, pulls out a water bottle, drinks long and slow. His hands shake worse than ever. You okay? Tired, it's getting harder. The Parkinson's? Everything, but yeah, mainly that. Elena sits beside him. They watch the sun climb toward noon, feel the heat build. Why does this matter so much to you? Really? Brennan considers the question, takes his time. These are the conversations that matter, the ones where truth lives. Because in 40 years of teaching, I've seen the Army change, seen us go from warriors to technicians, from fighters to button pushers. And I get it. Progress is necessary. Evolution is survival. But somewhere along the way, we forgot something important. What's that? That the warrior's code isn't about efficiency, it's about honor, restraint, knowing when to shoot and when to show mercy. Machines can't learn that. Algorithms can't feel that. Only humans can. You think Chen's Way removes humanity? I think it makes it optional. And once humanity is optional, we become the enemy we're fighting. Heavy words, true ones. They sit in silence until the heat drives them to shade. That night, Elena can't sleep. She lies in bed staring at ceiling, running scenarios, imagining the challenge, the pressure, the stakes, the possibility of failure. Her phone buzzes. Text from Sarah. Heard Chen showed up at training. You okay? Elena types back, nervous. 3 dots. Then, good means you care. What if I miss? Then you miss. World keeps turning. Brennan's legacy doesn't. His legacy is 40 years of students. One challenge doesn't erase that. It just adds to the story. Easy for you to say. No, it's hard for me to say because I know what you're carrying. But, Elena, you're not shooting for Brennan, you're shooting for you. Am I? Aren't you? Elena stares at the question, doesn't have an answer. She falls asleep sometime after midnight, dreams of her father, of Brennan, of targets 4,000 meters away that dance and shimmer and refuse to be hit. Wakes at 0400 drenched in sweat. The challenge is today. Fort Liberty wakes to chaos. Word has spread. Base commander will attend. Public affairs is setting up. Soldiers from every unit want to watch. This is more than a shooting competition. This is theater. Tradition versus progress. Old versus new. The past fighting for relevance against the future's certainty. Elena arrives at range 12 at 0600. Already 50 soldiers gathered. Vehicles lining the access road. Camera crews from military media outlets. Her stomach knots. Brennan finds her before she can retreat. His dress uniform immaculate despite the early hour. 4 rows of ribbons. Master sniper badge. 40 years of service compressed into cloth and metal. Too many people. I know, ignore them. Can't. Then use them. Let the pressure make you sharp. What if it makes me freeze? His expression softens. Then you freeze. And we deal with it. But Doc, you won't. I've watched you for 2 weeks. You're ready. The crowd grows. 100, 200, 300 soldiers in various uniforms. Generals, colonels, sergeants major who remember when Brennan was a young instructor. Major Chen arrives at 0700, his shooter with him. Sergeant Jake Brennan, the colonel's son. Elena's breath catches. Brennan Sr. sees his son. His expression doesn't change, but something flickers behind his eyes. Pain, pride, the complicated mathematics of a father who has to watch his child compete against his legacy. Jake approaches. 28 years old, Army Ranger tab, airborne wings, the look of someone trying hard to step out of a large shadow. Captain Martinez, I've heard a lot about you. Elena shakes his hand. His grip is firm, respectful, not aggressive. Your father is a legend. I know, that's the problem. The words hang honest between them. Elena understands immediately. The weight of heritage, the burden of names, the struggle to be yourself when everyone sees your father first. May the best shooter win, she says. Jake smiles. May the best method win. That's what this is really about. True enough, they part. Elena watches him set up his equipment. AI-assisted scope, environmental sensors, ballistic computer, tablet interface, $10,000 of technology to solve problems humans used to solve with math and feel. It's impressive, intimidating, everything Chen promised. And it might work. At 0800, the base commander calls for attention. Lieutenant General Patricia Morrison, 3 stars, silver hair pulled back severe, expression carved from granite and expectations. This challenge represents more than marksmanship. It represents our Army's ongoing dialogue between tradition and innovation, between the methods that brought us here and the methods that will carry us forward. She gestures to both shooting positions. Sergeant Brennan represents technological integration. AI-assisted systems designed to maximize accuracy and minimize human error. Then to Elena. Captain Martinez represents traditional methods, human skill, hard-earned experience, the old-school approach that has served this army for generations. She pauses, lets the weight of the moment build. Each shooter gets 3 attempts at a 4,000-meter target. Best shot wins. Winner's methodology becomes Fort Liberty standard for sniper training. She looks at both competitors. This is not personal. This is professional. This is about finding the best path forward. May you both shoot true. She steps back. The crowd quiets to nothing. Brennan Sr. approaches Elena one last time, hands her a single round, special hand-loaded, perfectly balanced. The same ammunition her father used in Vietnam. For your final shot, if you need it. She takes it, feels its weight. Make him proud, Brennan whispers. Then he steps back, lets her stand alone. Major Chen addresses his shooter. Last-minute instructions, tactical advice, the confident certainty of a man who believes technology can't fail. Jake nods, listens, but his eyes drift to his father watching from the sidelines. The rangemaster calls it, Sergeant Brennan, you're up first. Jake moves to position 1, sets up his rifle. The AI scope comes alive with data. Wind speed, temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, all measured in real time, all fed into algorithms that calculate the perfect solution. He settles in. The computer adjusts the scope automatically, compensates for every variable. Jake breathes, trusts the machine, fires. 4.3 seconds. The spotter's voice carries across the range. Miss, left 4.2 meters. Murmurs from the crowd. Chen's expression tightens. Jake resets. The AI recalculates, adjusts for wind gusts that hit mid-flight. Second shot. Miss. Right. 2.8 meters. Closer, but still a miss. Jake's confidence wavers. Elena can see it in his posture, the doubt creeping in, the realization that technology can measure everything except the unmeasurable. Third attempt. Jake hesitates, looks at the computer display, looks at the target, makes a decision. He reaches up, turns off the AI as it goes manual. Chen's voice cuts sharp. What are you doing? Trusting my training, sir? Jake settles without the computer, uses his eyes, his judgment, the things his father taught him before Chen's machines arrived. He fires. 4.3 seconds of silence. Miss, left 1.4 meters. The closest attempt, and it came when he stopped trusting the machine and started trusting himself. The crowd processes this, the implications, the statement. Jake stands, frustrated but honorable, nods to Elena. Your turn, ma'am. Good luck. Elena approaches position 2. The crowd presses closer. Hundreds of eyes, dozens of cameras, the weight of expectations and doubt and hope all compressed into this moment. She sets up the M14, her father's rifle, Brennan's training. Work. No computer, no sensors, no assistance. Just math and feel and faith. The wind holds steady, 12 miles per hour, southwest. Same as training. The familiarity helps. She checks her calculations one final time. Wind drift, bullet drop, Coriolis effect. The invisible forces that will push her round off course. Settles into position. Brennan's voice from the spotting scope. Wind 12 steady, target verified. Range 4,000, your shot. Elena breathes. In, hold, out, hold. Her world narrows. Crowd disappears. Noise fades. Only the target exists. But then something shifts. A memory, sudden, unwanted. Afghanistan. Sarah bleeding. The choice. Her hand trembles. The moment stretches. Everyone watching, waiting. She's frozen. Brennan sees it, whispers urgently, Doc, you're not there, you're here. Different shot, different moment. But the memory holds, the weight of it, the guilt. In the crowd, someone coughs. The sound breaks her concentration further. She pulls away from the scope, sits back. Crowd confusion whispers. Major Chen mutters to an aide. She's choking. Brennan ignores everyone else, focuses on Elena, his voice calm, steady, certain. Tell me what you see. What? When you close your eyes. What do you see? Elena closes her eyes. The truth comes quiet. I see the people I couldn't save. Open your eyes, look at me. She does. Brennan holds her gaze. Every person you saved outweighs every person you couldn't. That's not math. That's truth. Sarah is alive because of you. The convoy in Kandahar lived because of you. You're not defined by your failures. You're defined by how you carry them. The words land somewhere deep. Now look at that target. That's not Afghanistan. That's not Mosul. That's just physics and determination. Can you hit it? Yes. Then hit it. Not for me. Not for your father. For you. Prove to yourself that you're still the warrior you always were. Elena nods, settles back into position. The crowd holds its breath again. She finds her rhythm, breathing steady, heart rate dropping, mind clearing. The target comes into focus, just a dark shape 2.5 miles away. But she knows exactly where it is. Finger on trigger. 4-count breathing. The world stills. She fires. The round leaves the barrel perfect. Trajectory clean. All the calculations, all the training, all the faith compressed into copper and lead flying at 2,700 feet per second. 4.3 seconds. The longest seconds of her life. Then the sound. Ting. Clear. Unmistakable. The spotter's voice cracks with emotion. Impact. Outer ring. 2.1 meters right of center. Not perfect, but a hit. A solid hit. The crowd erupts. Brennan's hands shake so badly he drops his binoculars, but he's smiling. Actually smiling. Elena lets out a breath. Relief and joy and something like redemption washing over her. But she has 2 attempts left. She resets. Adjusts for the drift. Trusts the correction. Second shot. Fires. 4.3 seconds. Hit. 1.2 meters left of center. Closer. Crowd louder now. Chen's expression unreadable. Jake Brennan watching with something like awe. Elena loads the final round. The special one. Her father's ammunition. She doesn't rush. Takes her time. This is the shot that matters. The one that proves everything. Wind shifts slightly. She feels it before the flags show it. Compensates. Settles. The rifle feels like part of her body. Extension of will. Purpose made physical. She thinks of her father, of Brennan, of every warrior who carried burdens in silence. Thinks of Sarah, alive because Elena chose correctly even when it cost everything. Thinks of herself, broken but healing, flawed but worthy. Fires. The round flies true. Perfect arc. Perfect spin. 4.3 seconds of perfect faith. The impact comes clear and clean. The spotter takes 3 full seconds to confirm what he's seeing. Then his voice, loud and certain. Dead center, perfect shot. 4,000 meters, bull's eye. The range explodes. Soldiers cheering. Veterans embracing. The old guard vindicated. Brennan collapses into a chair. Tears streaming. 40 years of purpose validated in one perfect shot. Elena stands, rifle in hand, feeling lighter than she has in 6 years. The crowd swarms, hands shaking hers, voices congratulating, the chaos of victory. Through it all, she sees Jake Brennan approach his father, sees them embrace, sees the younger man whisper something, sees the elder nod. Later she'll learn what was said. "I'm proud of you, son. You shot with honor." And Jake's response, "I learned from the best, Dad. Tech is good, but it can't replace what you taught me." Chen approaches Elena, professional despite defeat. "Remarkable shooting, Captain. You've proven your point." "Our point," she corrects, "that human skill still matters." He nods, extends his hand. She shakes it. "I'll honor the agreement. Traditional training continues. But, Captain, this doesn't mean technology has no place." "Agreed. It means technology serves the shooter, not the other way around." "Fair enough." General Morrison cuts through the crowd, addresses Elena directly. "Captain Martinez, effective immediately, you're reassigned to United States Army Sniper School. Senior instructor position. You'll help develop the new curriculum. Combination of traditional methods and modern tools." "Ma'am, I don't know if I'm ready. You just made a 4,000-meter shot under pressure after 6 years away from combat shooting." "You're ready." Elena looks at Brennan. He nods once. Permission, blessing, pride. "Yes, ma'am, I accept." The crowd begins to disperse. The show over. The point made. Elena and Brennan stand alone at the firing line. "Thank you," she says quietly. "For what?" "For believing I could do it when I didn't believe in myself." That's what we do. We believe in each other when we can't believe in ourselves. They pack up in comfortable silence, the work of people who understand each other. As Elena loads her rifle case, Brennan speaks one last time. "Your father would be proud. But more than that, I think you're finally proud of yourself." She considers this, nods. "Yeah, maybe I am." "Good. That's the hardest shot of all. The one where you forgive yourself." They drive away from range 12 as the sun reaches its peak. The heat of the day settling in, the challenge over, the point proven. But for Elena, something bigger has shifted. 6 years of exile ended. 6 years of guilt, addressed if not erased. She's still herself, still carries the weight, still sees the faces. But now she knows she can carry it forward instead of letting it crush her. That's not redemption, but it's a start. 3 days after the challenge, Fort Liberty feels different. The story spreads like wildfire through military channels. Woman defeats AI in ultimate old school versus new school showdown. Video clips circulate. News outlets request interviews. The base public affairs office fields dozens of calls. Elena hates every second of it. She sits in her temporary office at the Combat Training Division, door closed, blinds drawn, trying to ignore the attention. Her phone buzzes constantly. Messages from soldiers she's never met. Congratulations from officers she barely knows. Interview requests from military publications. She deletes them all. A knock at the door. She considers pretending she's not here. The knock comes again. Persistent. "Come in." Sergeant Wade enters. Closes the door behind him. Drops into the chair across from her desk without being invited. That's friendship. The kind where formality died years ago in some Afghan valley. "You hiding?" "Working." "Bullshit, you're hiding." Elena doesn't argue. Can't argue. He's right. Wade leans forward. Elbows on knees. The posture of someone about to say something she won't like. "Ghost is in bad shape." The words hit like a gut punch. Elena's hand still on her keyboard. "How bad?" "Worse since the challenge. Stress accelerated the Parkinson's. Tremors are constant now. Can barely hold a coffee cup." Martha's worried. "Where is he?" "Home. Refusing to see a doctor. Says he proved his point and that's all that matters." Elena closes her laptop. Stands. "I'll go see him." "That's not why I'm here." "Then why?" "Because General Morrison wants to meet with you. Today. 1400 hours. Her office. "About what?" Wade shrugs. "Didn't say." But when a 3-star general summons you personally, you don't ask questions. You show up. Elena checks her watch. 2 hours. She spends them trying to prepare, reviewing the challenge results, checking her uniform, running through possible scenarios. None of it helps. You can't prepare for the unknown. At 13:55, she stands outside Morrison's office, takes a breath, knocks. Enter. Lieutenant General Patricia Morrison sits behind a desk that's seen 3 decades of commanders. Silver hair pulled back severe. 3 stars on her shoulders. Expression that gives nothing away. "Captain Martinez, sit." Elena sits. Back straight, hands folded. Every inch the professional soldier. Morrison studies her for a long moment, evaluating, deciding something. "That was an impressive shot." "Thank you, ma'am." "More than impressive. Remarkable. 4,000 meters in variable wind with thermal distortion, using manual calculations and instinct, no technology assist. Colonel Brennan trained me well." "He did." Morrison taps a folder on her desk. "Which is why I'm offering you a position." "Ma'am?" "United States Army Sniper School, Fort Moore, Georgia. Senior instructor position. You'll develop new curriculum, blend traditional methods with modern technology, create a program that honors both approaches. The offer lands heavy, unexpected, life-changing." "Ma'am, I'm not sure I'm qualified." "You just made a shot 99% of snipers can't make." "You understand the philosophy behind the skill. You've carried the burden of command decisions. You're exactly qualified." Elena's mind races. Leaving Fort Liberty, leaving logistics, returning to the world she left 6 years ago. "When would I start?" Morrison's expression softened slightly. 6 weeks. After Brennan's retirement ceremony. He specifically requested you be there. "Of course." "One more thing." Morrison slides the folder across the desk. "This is classified. Colonel Brennan has 6 months to retirement. I'm moving it up." "Why?" "Because his Parkinson's is progressing faster than anyone knew. Medical board recommendation is immediate retirement. I'm giving him 6 weeks to settle affairs and say goodbye properly." Elena feels her throat tighten. 6 weeks. "He doesn't know yet. I'm telling him tomorrow. But I wanted you to know first, because you're going to carry his legacy forward." "Ma'am, that's a lot of pressure." "Good. Pressure makes diamonds or breaks glass. I don't think you're glass, Captain." The meeting ends. Elena walks out in a daze. 6 weeks, senior instructor, carrying Brennan's life work forward. She drives straight to Brennan's house. The home is modest, ranch style, American flag in the front yard. Garden maintained by someone who cares, but whose hands don't quite work anymore. Martha answers the door, 60 years old, kind eyes, tired face. "Elena, come in, he's in the garage." "How is he?" "Stubborn, proud, pretending he's fine when we both know he's not." Elena finds Brennan in the garage trying to clean his old service rifle. His hands shake so badly he's dropped the cleaning rod 3 times. Frustration radiates off him like heat. "Need help?" Brennan looks up. Doesn't hide the tremor, doesn't hide the anger. "Can't even clean my own weapon anymore." Elena picks up the cleaning rod, hands it to him. Her hands steady under his shaking ones. Together, they guide it through the barrel. "There, You're doing it. You're doing it. I'm just along for the ride. They work in silence, the ritual of weapon maintenance, something both understand without words. Heard you met with Morrison, Brennan says. News travels fast. It's a small post. What did she offer? You know what she offered? Brennan nods, sets down the rifle. His hands immediately start shaking worse without the task to focus them. You should take it. I haven't decided yet. Why not? It's what you're meant to do. Elena sits on a workbench, looks at this man who changed her life, sees him diminished by disease, but not defeated. Because I'm scared. Of failing. Of not being you. Of letting down everyone who believes in me. Good. Fear keeps you honest. That's what everyone keeps saying, because it's true. Brennan meets her eyes. I'm dying, Doc. Not tomorrow, not next month, but soon enough. Parkinson's is progressive, no cure, just slow decline until I can't function anymore. The words hang brutal and honest. Morrison's moving up my retirement, 6 weeks instead of 6 months. Medical necessity. I know, she told me. How do you feel about it? Brennan's laugh is bitter. How do I feel? I feel cheated. I feel like I'm being put out to pasture before I'm ready. I feel like everything I built is slipping through my fingers along with my motor control. Then why tell me to take the job? Because my feelings don't matter. What matters is the mission continues. What I taught keeps living. Warriors keep learning that honor matters more than efficiency. He stands, walks to a cabinet, pulls out a wooden box, old, worn, opens it carefully. Inside, medals, ribbon, citations, 40 years compressed into metal and cloth. This is my legacy. He gestures at the box. 23 kills, 2,000 students, 40 years of service, and it all fits in a box small enough to carry with one hand. That's not your legacy. Your legacy is standing in front of you. Brennan looks at her. Really looks. The tremor in his hand seems to still for just a moment. Then prove it. Take the job. Teach what I taught. Make sure the next generation understands. I will. Promise me. I promise. They stand in silence. 2 warriors, one old, one still finding her way, connected by purpose and pain and the understanding that some burdens can only be carried by those who've earned them. Martha calls from inside. Dinner in 10. Brennan closes the box. Want to stay? It's just pot roast, but there's plenty. Elena smiles. I'd like that. They eat together. 3 people who've seen war from different angles. They talk about everything except the future. Sports, weather, the new coffee shop that opened on post. Normal things. Human things. The things that matter when time is short. 2 weeks later, the call comes at 0300. Elena answers half asleep. Wade's voice urgent. Get to the hospital, now. What happened? Brennan, heart attack. They're stabilizing him, but it's bad. She's dressed and driving in 5 minutes. The road's empty. Fort Liberty sleeping. Emergency lights guide her to Womack Army Medical Center. Wade meets her in this cardiac ICU waiting room. Jake Brennan is there. Martha, too. All looking shell-shocked. Status? Elena asks. Stable, but critical. Doctor says the stress of the Parkinson's plus the challenge plus everything caught up to him. Heart couldn't take it. Can I see him? Family only right now. Martha stands, walks over, takes Elena's hand. Your family. Come. Brennan looks small in the hospital bed. Wires, tubes, monitors beeping steady rhythms. His chest rises and falls with mechanical assistance. The tremor in his hands finally still, but his eyes are open. Sharp, alert. Doctor, you came. Of course I came. Stupid of me. Having a heart attack. Little bit, yeah. His smile is weak but genuine. Heard you accepted the position. I did. Good. He closes his eyes. Tired. So tired. Gonna need you to do something for me. Anything. When I'm gone. And I will be gone soon. Don't you dare quit. Don't you dare let the fear win. You teach. You lead. You carry forward what we started. I already promised. Promise again. I promise. He relaxes slightly. Good. That's good. The doctor enters, checks monitors, makes notes, speaks quietly to Martha. Elena steps back, gives them space, walks to the window, looks out at Fort Liberty in the pre-dawn darkness. Wade joins her. He'll pull through. Stubborn old bastard. Elena doesn't respond, just watches the sun start to rise. Another day beginning whether you're ready or not. Brennan stays in the hospital for 2 weeks, stabilizes, improves enough to go home. But everyone knows. The clock is ticking faster now. Elena visits daily. Sometimes they talk. Sometimes they sit in silence. Both work. She brings her father's notebook. They study calculations together. Brennan adds notes in shaking handwriting, corrections, insights, the accumulated wisdom of 40 years. One afternoon, Elena asks the question that's been haunting her. Do you regret it? The challenge, the stress it put on you. Brennan doesn't hesitate. No. Best thing I did in years. Proved that what I believe still matters. That tradition and honor aren't obsolete. That you can't replace human judgment with algorithms. Even if it cost you? Especially because it cost me. Things that don't cost anything don't mean anything. Elena absorbs this. The philosophy of a warrior. Sacrifice gives meaning. The retirement ceremony is scheduled for 3 weeks away. Brennan insists on attending. Doctors advise against it. He ignores them. Martha and Jake prepare everything. Elena helps. The work keeps them busy, keeps them from thinking about what comes after. 1 week before the ceremony, Brennan calls Elena, voice urgent. Need you at the range, now! It's 900. She's at Fort Moore for a preliminary planning meeting. But something in his voice makes her drop everything. She drives 4 hours, breaks every speed limit, arrives at range 12 just before noon. Brennan's truck is there. So is an ambulance. Her heart sinks. She runs to the firing line. Brennan stands at the 1,000-yard mark, rifle in hand, Wade beside him acting as spotter, Martha watching from the truck, face wet with tears. What's going on? Brennan turns. His face is gray, sweating, pain evident, but determined. One last shot. Before I can anymore. Before the tremor takes everything. Colonel, you just had a heart attack 2 weeks ago. I know, that's why it has to be now. This is insane, probably. But it's my insane. Let me have it. Elena looks at Wade. He shrugs, helpless. This is Brennan's call. What's the target? Brennan points downrange. 1,200 meters, standard silhouette, the distance where precision meets possibility. I haven't made this shot in 6 months. Can't hold steady enough, but I need to try, need to know if there's anything left. Elena understands. This isn't about the target, it's about dignity, about going out on your terms, about one last moment of competence before disease takes it all. What do you need from me? Be my trigger. What? My hands shake too much. But if you steady them, if we do this together, maybe we can make it work. Brennan, that's not how this works. It is today. They set up together. Brennan behind the scope, Elena's hands covering his, steadying the tremor. 2 people, 1 shot. Wind? Brennan asks. Wade checks. 8 miles per hour, southwest, steady. Range? 1,200 even. Conditions? Good as we'll get. Brennan settles in. Elena feels his breathing, ragged, uneven, but trying, still trying. On my mark, he whispers. 3, 2, 1. Elena squeezes. The rifle fires. Recoil pushes through both of them. 1,200 meters away, the target rings. Hit! Wade calls. Call. Center mass. Brennan sags. Elena catches him, holds him up. Thank you, he whispers. Thank you for letting an old warrior have one last good shot. The ambulance crew rushes over. Martha, too. They help him to the stretcher. As they're loading him, Brennan grabs Elena's hand. Remember this. When it's your time, when you think you're done, there's always one more shot. One more chance to be who you are. She nods, unable to speak. They drive away, lights flashing, racing against time and disease and inevitability. Elena stands alone on range 12, the same range where it all started, where Brennan taught thousands, where she rediscovered herself. Wade walks over. That was stupid. Yeah. But it was beautiful too. Yeah. They pack up the equipment in silence, the rifle still warm from the shot, the target still ringing from impact. One last good shot. That's all any warrior can ask for. The ceremony happens as planned. Brennan insists on attending despite doctor's orders. Wheelchair-bound now. Oxygen tank at his side, but present. The crowd is massive. 300 soldiers, veterans from 4 decades, generals and privates, the accumulated witnesses of one man's career. Speeches are given, honors bestowed, the American flag presented. When it's Elena's turn to speak, she walks to the podium with her father's notebook, opens to a page Brennan marked days ago, his handwriting recent, shaking but legible. To the next generation. The hardest shot is the one you don't take. Remember that. Knowing when to show restraint is what separates warriors from killers. Teach them. Lead them. Make sure they understand. She looks at Brennan in his wheelchair, eyes wet but bright. Colonel Brennan taught me that honor isn't about perfection. It's about carrying the weight of imperfection with dignity. I'll teach that. I'll honor what he built by building on it. The crowd applauds. Brennan salutes from his chair, trembling but determined. After the ceremony, Elena approaches him. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for proving me right. She kneels beside his wheelchair. Eye level. I'm scared. Good, but you'll do it anyway, that's courage. What if I fail? Then you'll fail honorably. Pick yourself up. Try again. Same as everyone else. She stands, prepares to leave. Brennan's voice stops her. Doctor, one more thing. Yes? Your father would be proud. I'm proud. Now be proud of yourself. The words break something loose. She hugs him, careful of the wires and tubes, feels how fragile he's become. Goodbye, Ghost. Not goodbye. See you on the other side of the range. She walks away before the tears fall. 6 weeks later, she reports to Fort Moore, senior instructor, the Brennan School of Precision Marksmanship. Her office has 2 photographs on the wall, her father in desert camouflage, and Brennan at range 12, making his last shot, held up by Elena's hands. The next generation is waiting. She's ready to teach them. Not because she's fearless, but because fear is honest. And honesty is the foundation of everything. 6 months later, the leaves turn gold across Fort Liberty. Autumn in North Carolina comes gentle. Not the harsh freeze of northern winters, but a slow cooling. A gradual shift from one season to another, the way all good endings should come. Elena stands in front of a classroom at Fort Moore, Georgia. 20 students sit before her. Young faces, eager eyes, the same hunger she remembers feeling at their age. The certainty that they're invincible, that war is glory, that pulling a trigger is simple. They'll learn different. She will teach them different. Behind her, mounted on the wall, 2 photographs. One shows her father in Desert Storm, young, strong, the M24 cradled in his arms. The other shows Colonel William Brennan at range 12, old but unbroken. Hands steady for just one moment, the last good shot. These 2 men, Elena tells the class, represent what you're here to learn. Not just how to shoot, but why it matters, and what it costs. The students listen. Some understand, some don't yet. They will. Her phone buzzes during the lunch break. Sergeant Wade. The message is simple, but it hits like a rifle round. Ghost is in the hospital, you should come. Elena stares at the words. Knew this was coming. Has known for months. But knowing doesn't make it easier. She arranges coverage for her classes. Books the next flight to North Carolina. Packs light. Just essentials in her father's notebook. The flight takes 2 hours. She doesn't sleep. Just watches clouds through the window and thinks about legacy. About what we leave behind. About whether any of it matters. Womack Army Medical Center smells like every military hospital. Antiseptic. Effort. The quiet desperation of trying to fix what war breaks. Wade meets her in the lobby. Big man looking smaller somehow. Tired. How bad? Bad. Pneumonia. The Parkinson's makes everything harder. Body can't fight like it used to. Is he awake? In and out. Martha's with him, Jake too. They walk through corridors painted institutional beige, past rooms holding other soldiers, other stories, other battles being lost to time and biology. Brennan's room is private, small mercy of rank. Martha Brennan sits beside the bed holding her husband's hand. 60 years old, gray hair, strong face showing cracks. 40 years of military marriage teaches you to be steel, but even steel bends. She looks up when Elena enters, manages a tired smile. He's been asking for you. How is he? Fading, but stubborn, you know how he is. Jake stands by the window, dressed in civilian clothes, off duty. He nods at Elena. They've developed mutual respect since the challenge, bonded over the weight of being Brennan's legacy. The man himself lies small in the hospital bed. Oxygen line, IV drip, monitors beeping steady rhythms. His hands rest on the blanket, still trembling but weaker now. Even the Parkinson's running out of energy. His eyes open, pale blue still sharp despite everything. Doctor, you came. Of course I came. She pulls up a chair, sits, takes his hand carefully. The tremor passes through both of them. Heard you're teaching now, making the next generation of warriors. Trying to? Following your example. Do better than my example. I made plenty of mistakes. You taught thousands of soldiers to be honorable. That's not a mistake. Brennan's smile is weak but genuine. How's the class? 20 students, 15 men, 5 women. All think they know everything. Good. The ones who think they know everything learn the most when they figure out they don't. That's what you taught me. His grip tightens slightly. Did I ever tell you about my first student? No. Kid named Marcus Webb, 1993. Cocky as hell. Could shoot well enough but had no discipline. No understanding of weight. What happened to him? Died in 94. Mogadishu. Took a shot he shouldn't have taken. Position got compromised. Never made it home. Elena absorbs this. I'm sorry. I think about him sometimes. Wonder if I taught him wrong, if I emphasized skill over judgment. If he died because I failed him. You can't carry every death. Can't I? We're instructors. We're responsible for what they become. The words hang heavy, true in ways that hurt. Martha stands, stretches, exchanges looks with Jake, the silent communication of family. We're going to get coffee. Give you two some time. They leave. The door closes soft. Alone with Brennan, Elena feels the weight of everything unsaid. 6 months since the challenge. 6 months of teaching. 6 months of carrying forward what he started. Thank you, she says quietly. For what? For believing in me. For pulling me out of logistics. For reminding me who I was. Who you are, present tense. Who I am. Brennan's breathing labors. The oxygen line hisses. Machines monitor the slow shutdown of a body that served for 58 years. I'm dying, he says matter of fact. Doctors give me weeks, maybe a month. Elena's throat tightens. I know. Don't be sad, I've had a good run. 40 years of service, good wife, good son. Students who'll carry on the work. That's more than most get. Still doesn't seem like enough time. Never is. But that's not how we measure worth. We measure by impact, by legacy, by whether the world is better because we were in it. Is it better? Brennan considers this. His eyes drift to the window, to whatever view exists beyond institutional walls. I taught people to kill. That's the truth of it. Dressed it up in honor and duty and warrior codes. But at the end of the day, my legacy is making efficient killers. That's not fair to yourself, isn't it? 23 people I killed personally. How many died by students I trained? Hundreds? Thousands? How does that math work out in the end? You taught restraint, ethics, when not to shoot. Did I? Or did I just make us feel better about the violence? The question sits between them, raw, honest, the kind of thing you only say when time is short and pretense is pointless. Elena leans forward, holds his hand tighter. You saved my life. Not physically, but you pulled me back from a place I was drowning. Reminded me I was more than my worst moment. That's your legacy, not the killing, the saving. Brennan's eyes glisten. One tear tracks down his weathered face. That's kind of you to say. It's true. Ask any of your students. We don't remember you teaching us to kill. We remember you teaching us to be human while doing an inhuman job. They sit in silence. The machines beep. The oxygen hisses. Outside, Fort Liberty continues. Soldiers train. Life goes on. I have something for you, Brennan says, voice weaker now. In the drawer. Brown envelope. Elena opens the bedside drawer, finds the envelope, opens it carefully. Inside, a letter, handwritten despite the tremor. Must have taken hours. And a medal, silver, worn smooth with age. That's from the Gulf, Brennan says. My combat decoration from Desert Storm. Your father earned one too. We served in the same theater. Different units, but same war. Before he shipped home, we made a pact. Whoever retired first would pass their medal to someone who understood what it meant. I can't take this. You already have it. Question is whether you'll honor it. How? By teaching. What we taught. By making sure the next generation understands that being a warrior isn't about glory. It's about sacrifice, burden, carrying weight so others don't have to. Elena holds the medal, feels its history. Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan. Generations of warriors passing along the same truth. I'll honor it. Good. Now read the letter later. When I'm gone, it'll make more sense then. She tucks both items away carefully. Martha and Jake return with coffee. The moment of privacy ends. Family reclaims its space. Elena stands, knows when it's time to go. I'll visit again soon. Brennan nods, weaker now. The conversation taking what little energy he had. Dokumentacja. Yeah. Thank you for making that shot. For proving I wasn't wrong. That the old ways still matter. You were never wrong, I just helped you remember. She leaves before the emotion overcomes her, walks fast through corridors, outside, into autumn air that tastes like freedom and loss. Wade finds her in this parking lot, leaning against her rental car. Not crying, too tired to cry. You okay? No, but I will be. He's proud of you, you know that, right? I know. Good, because he doesn't say it enough. Old warriors never do. They stand together. Two soldiers who understand that some battles you can't win. You can only fight honorably and accept the outcome. Call me when it happens, Elena says. I will. She drives back to the airport, catches the evening flight. returns to Fort Moore and her students, and the work of teaching young soldiers that violence is easy, but wisdom is hard. 3 weeks later, the call comes. 4 a.m., Wade's voice rough with grief. He's gone. Went peaceful. Martha and Jake with him. Last words were about his students, about legacy, about hoping he taught us right. Elena sits in her dark apartment, phone pressed to her ear. The weight of absence suddenly real. When's the service? Week from Saturday. Fort Liberty. Full military honors. General Morrison is speaking. She wants you to speak too. Me? You were his last student, his proof that everything he believes still matters. Yeah, you. What do I say? The truth, it's all any of us can do. The funeral is beautiful in the way military funerals are. Precise, respectful, heavy with meaning. Fort Liberty Memorial Cemetery. October morning, cool and clear. Leaves falling like spent brass. 300 people attend. Students spanning 4 decades. Warriors who learned to shoot and fight and kill with honor, because one man believed it mattered. The honor guard stands perfect. 7 rifles, 21 shots, 3 volleys of 7, mathematics of respect, taps plays, the mournful notes carrying across graves of other soldiers, other stories, other men who gave everything in different ways. General Morrison speaks first. Professional, respectful, talks about Brennan's service record, his decorations, his impact on sniper training doctrine. True words, but surface words. Then Jake Brennan steps forward, civilian suit, face composed but eyes red. My father taught me to shoot when I was 8 years old, taught me more than mechanics, taught me responsibility, that every bullet has a name, that we're not killers, we're guardians. His voice cracks, steadies. I didn't always understand. Thought he was old-fashioned, stuck in the past. But 6 months ago, I learned different. Watched him prove that wisdom and experience matter, that technology serves us but doesn't define us. He looks at Elena in the crowd. He found his last student, taught her what he taught all of us, and through her, he'll teach thousands more. That's legacy. That's immortality. That's my father. Jake sits. Martha holds his hand. Elena's turn. She walks to the podium on legs that feel disconnected, looks out at 300 faces. Warriors, students, family. Behind her, the coffin draped in flag. Inside, a man who changed her life. She unfolds the letter from the envelope, the one Brennan told her to read after he was gone. Reads it aloud, his last lesson. Dear Doc, if you're reading this, I'm finally at rest. Don't mourn too long. I've had a good life and an honorable death. That's more than most soldiers get. I wanted to tell you something I couldn't say face to face. You saved me as much as I saved you. When Chen challenged the old ways, I was ready to fade away. Accept obsolescence. Become a relic. You reminded me that what we teach isn't about age or technology. It's about understanding that warriors are human first and weapons second. That killing is easy, but living with it is hard. That honor isn't just about courage. It's about restraint. Your father knew this. Taught it to me during Desert Storm, when I was still learning what it meant to carry the burden. He said, Brennan, the hardest shot is the one you don't take. Knowing when to show mercy is what separates us from the enemy. I've tried to teach that for 40 years. Some students got it, some didn't. You got it. That's why your Afghanistan choice, the one you've carried like a cross, was actually right. You chose mercy over mission, humanity over orders. That's what warriors do. We carry the burden of impossible choices. We make the hard call and live with the consequences. We don't get absolution, just the knowledge that we did our best in impossible moments. Teach that. Teach the next generation that being a good shooter is easy. Being a good person who happens to shoot is hard. That's the warrior code, not the killing. The humanity we maintain despite the killing. I'm proud of you. Your father would be proud of you. Now be proud of yourself. The last good shot isn't about distance or accuracy. It's about knowing when to pull the trigger and when to lower the rifle. Teach them that. With respect and affection. Ghost. Elena folds the letter, her voice thick but steady. Colonel Brennan taught thousands of us to shoot, but more importantly, he taught us to think, to feel, to carry the weight of what we do with honor and remorse and understanding. She looks at the coffin. He asked me to teach what he taught. I will, but I'll teach it my way, blending old wisdom with new tools, honoring tradition while embracing progress. Because that's what he actually believed. Not that change was bad, that we shouldn't lose our humanity in the pursuit of efficiency. She pauses, lets the silence breathe. The hardest shot is the one you don't take. That's his final lesson, knowing when to show restraint, when to choose mercy, when to put down the rifle and pick up the wounded. That's what makes us warriors instead of murderers. That's his legacy. That's what I'll teach. She salutes the coffin, holds it, lowers it, returns to her seat. The service concludes with the flag-folding ceremony. Martha receives it, holds it like it can somehow bring him back. The crowd disperses slowly, warriors sharing stories, remembering, grieving in the way soldiers do, stoic on the surface, broken underneath. Elena stands at the grave after everyone leaves, just her and the fresh earth and the temporary marker. Sarah finds her there, flew in from Walter Reed. Best friend, the woman she saved instead of taking the impossible shot. They stand together without speaking. Finally, Sarah says, "He was right, about the shot you didn't take. I know, took me 6 years to accept it. And now I teach others. Try to help them avoid carrying what I carried." That's good. That's healing. Is it? Sarah looks at her, really looks. Yeah, it is. You're not the broken woman who worked in logistics and hid from her past. You're teaching, leading, living. Doesn't feel like enough. It never does. But it's what we have. They walk back to the parking area, the cemetery emptying, just graves and memories and the weight of all the warriors who came before. That evening, Elena returns to her hotel room. Can't face the flight back yet. Needs time to process. She opens her laptop, finds an email from General Morrison. Subject: Fort Liberty Sniper Program. Captain Martinez. Effective immediately, you are appointed Director of Marksmanship Excellence, Fort Liberty. You will oversee all sniper training, develop new curriculum, blend traditional methods with modern technology per Colonel Brennan's vision. This is not a request. This is an order. We need you here. The old man's legacy needs a guardian. Report for duty in 30 days. Respectfully, Lieutenant General Patricia Morrison. Elena reads it 3 times, feels the weight of it, the opportunity, the burden. She opens a new email, addresses it to Morrison. Ma'am, I accept. I will honor Colonel Brennan's legacy by building on it, not preserving it in amber. Progress with wisdom, technology with humanity, the old ways enhanced by new understanding. I request permission to name the program the Brennan School of Precision Marksmanship, so every student knows whose shoulders they stand on. Respectfully, CPT Elena Martinez. She hits send before she can second guess. The reply comes 10 minutes later. Approved. All of it. Make us proud, Captain. Morrison. Elena closes the laptop, looks out the hotel window at Fort Liberty in the distance. Lights coming on as evening settles. Thousands of soldiers going about their lives, training, preparing, becoming. Soon she'll teach them, shape them, try to make them understand what Brennan taught her. That being a warrior is about more than killing. It's about knowing when to kill and when to save, when to shoot and when to show mercy, when to pull the trigger, and when to lower the rifle. The hardest shot is the one you don't take. 6 months pass like water. The Brennan School of Precision Marksmanship opens to its first class. 25 students, mixed backgrounds, all hungry to learn. Elena stands before them on a cold March morning, range 12 behind her, the same range where Brennan taught for 40 years, where she made the 4,000-meter shot that changed everything. Welcome, she begins. Over the next 12 weeks, you'll learn to shoot at distances that seem impossible. But more importantly, you'll learn why it matters, what it costs, how to carry the burden. She gestures to the wall behind her. 2 photos, Brennan and her father, the lineage of warriors teaching warriors. These men represent 70 years of combined service. They understood something most people don't, that pulling a trigger is easy, living with it is hard. The students listen. Some understand, some don't yet. They will. Elena teaches them everything Brennan taught her: wind reading, distance estimation, the physics of ballistics, the mathematics of death. But she also teaches what he taught her in that hospital room: the importance of restraint, the value of mercy, the warrior code that says strength without wisdom is just violence. Some students excel, some struggle, all grow. On graduation day, General Morrison attends. So does Martha Brennan. So does Jake, now an instructor himself. Elena watches her students receive their diplomas, watches them shake hands, watches them step forward into whatever future awaits. After the ceremony, Martha approaches. He would be proud, she says simply. I hope so. I know so. You're doing what he always wanted, teaching warriors to be human. They embrace briefly. The connection of shared grief and shared purpose. Jake joins them. He's been teaching at the school, working alongside Elena, learning her methods while honoring his father's. Got a minute? He asks Elena. Sure. They walk to range 12, stand at the firing line where history happened. I've been thinking, Jake says, about the challenge, about my dad making me compete against you. Elena waits, lets him work through it. I was angry at first, thought he was setting me up to fail, using me to prove his point. And now I think he was teaching me the most important lesson. That it's not about winning or losing, it's about how you compete, with honor, with respect, with understanding that the other person is fighting for something meaningful too. That sounds like something he'd teach. It is, and I finally get it. Jake looks out at his targets, at the 4,000-meter mark barely visible in the distance. Think I could make that shot? Elena considers. Honestly, maybe. With training, with patience, with understanding that it's not about the shot. It's about everything leading up to it. Will you teach me? Elena smiles. Yeah, I'll teach you. They work together over the following months. Teacher and student, colleague and colleague, building on what Brennan started. The school grows. Its reputation spreads. Students come from every branch, every background, all seeking to understand what it means to be a warrior in modern times. Elena teaches them, guides them, shapes them into something Brennan would recognize, but Morrison would approve. Traditional values enhanced by modern understanding. Honor code upgraded for contemporary warfare. It works. 1 year after Brennan's death, Elena returns to the cemetery. October morning, leaves falling, the anniversary. His headstone is simple. Name, rank, years of service, no flourish, no exaggeration, just facts. She places a single rifle round on the stone, symbolic, the shot fired in his honor. Thank you, she says quietly, for everything, for believing, for teaching, for reminding me who I was. The wind picks up, carries leaves across graves, the cycle of seasons, the cycle of life. Elena turns to leave, stops, looks back. I'm teaching them right, following your example but making it my own. Progress with wisdom, technology with humanity, just like you wanted. The stone offers no response, doesn't need to. She knows. 5 years later, Elena stands before a new class. Her 50th group of students, over 1,000 warriors trained, all carrying forward what Brennan started. The program has evolved, incorporates AI assistance as a tool, not a replacement, uses technology to enhance human judgment, not supplant it. Chen's methods and Brennan's philosophy merged into something better than either alone. Among the new students is a young woman, 22, confident but uncertain, reminds Elena of herself at that age. After the first class, the young woman approaches. Ma'am, I have a question. Go ahead. Why do we spend so much time on ethics and philosophy? Shouldn't we focus on shooting? Elena smiles. Heard that before. She gestures for the woman to walk with her. They head to range 12, to the 4,000-meter mark. You see that target? Yes, ma'am. I made that shot 7 years ago. 4,000 meters, perfect conditions, everything aligned. The student looks impressed. But that's not my greatest achievement, Elena continues. My greatest achievement was the shot I didn't take in Afghanistan. The moment I chose to save my friend instead of attempting the impossible. Why was that greater? Because it cost me everything. My confidence, my career trajectory, 6 years of guilt. But it was the right choice. And learning to live with right choices that hurt is what separates warriors from killers. The young woman absorbs this. What's your name? Elena asks. Corporal Maya Rodriguez, ma'am. Rodriguez, you have family in the military? Brother. He was killed by a sniper in Syria. I want to be better than the person who killed him. Elena stops walking, looks at the young woman, sees herself, sees her father, sees Brennan, the cycle continuing. That's the wrong motivation. Ma'am, you don't become a sniper to be better than the enemy. You become a sniper to protect people from becoming casualties. There's a difference. What's the difference? One is about ego. The other is about service. I'll teach you the difference, but it'll be hard. I can handle hard, ma'am. Elena smiles. We'll see. Over the next 12 weeks, she teaches Maya, pushes her, breaks her down and builds her back up, the same way Brennan did for her. Maya struggles, questions, doubts, grows. On graduation day, she makes a 3,200-meter shot. Not perfect, but good, honest, earned. Afterwards, she approaches Elena. Thank you, ma'am, for teaching me it's not about being the best. It's about being worthy of the responsibility. Now you understand. Did you always understand? Elena laughs. No. Took me 6 years and a stubborn old colonel to figure it out. You're ahead of schedule. They shake hands. Teacher and student, warrior and warrior. The cycle continues. That night, Elena sits in her office, alone, quiet. On her desk, 3 photographs. Her father, Brennan, and 1 new addition. A photo from the challenge. Her making the 4,000-meter shot. Brennan in the background, hands raised in victory. The moment everything changed. She opens her father's notebook, reads a random entry. The entry is dated March 1991, Kuwait City. Tomorrow I leave the Gulf. 1 tour. 31 confirmed kills. More I couldn't confirm. What do I tell my daughter when she asks what I did in the war? Below that, in different ink, years later. I told her the truth, that I killed people, that it was necessary, that it cost me, that I hope she never has to make the same choices. But if she does, I hope she makes them with honor. Elena closes the notebook, thinks about legacy, about what we pass down. Her phone rings. Sarah, how's the new class? Good, challenging, growing. You sound tired. I am, but good tired. It's the best kind. They talk for a while, catching up, sharing life. The friendship that survived war and guilt and time. When they hang up, Elena sits in silence, thinks about Brennan, about her father, about all the warriors who carried burdens so others wouldn't have to. Thinks about the students she's taught, the ones who'll teach others, the ripple effect of wisdom passed down. Thinks about Maya Rodriguez, young, determined, learning that being a warrior is about more than marksmanship. The hardest shot is the one you don't take. That's what she'll remember. What she'll teach, what she'll pass down. Not the 4,000-meter shot that made her famous, but the choice in Afghanistan that made her human. That's legacy. That's honor. That's the warrior code. Elena turns off her office light, walks out into the night. Fort Liberty sprawls around her. Thousands of soldiers training, learning, becoming. Tomorrow she'll teach again. Push another class. Try to make them understand what Brennan taught her. That violence is easy, but wisdom is hard. That technology serves us, but doesn't define us. That being a warrior means carrying the burden with honor, not glory. The stars shine above. The same stars that shone over Desert Storm, over Iraq, over Afghanistan, over every battlefield where warriors made impossible choices. Elena walks home, tired, satisfied, at peace, not because the guilt is gone. It never leaves, not completely, but because she's learned to carry it forward instead of letting it crush her. That's what Brennan taught her. That's what she teaches others. That's the legacy. The last good shot isn't about distance or accuracy. It's about knowing when to pull the trigger and when to lower the rifle, when to kill and when to save, when to be a weapon and when to be human. That's the lesson. That's what warriors pass down through generations. Elena looks up at the stars one last time. Thank you, Ghost, for teaching me, for believing in me, for showing me that redemption isn't about forgetting the past. It's about carrying it forward with purpose. The wind carries her words away. Somewhere, she hopes, an old warrior hears them and approves. I spent weeks researching military sniper protocols to get this story right. The 4,000-meter shot is based on real-world physics. And yes, it's possible, but only under perfect conditions with extraordinary skill. What hit me hardest while writing wasn't the impossible shot, but Elena's 6 years of guilt. How many of us carry burdens from choices we made decades ago? Colonel Brennan's trembling hands, his fight against time and obsolescence. That's a battle we all face eventually. What moment resonated most with you? Drop a comment below. And if this story touched you, there are more coming. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you for your service.